And be money smart. Stockpile cash, be prepared. This real estate market, as I'm speaking, is starting to level off. It is changing with the new players in the business. I've been doing this for 40 years, and I have no idea what's really going to go on. But I do know that I'm going to be prepared if there's a dip, or just like in 2007, when we got into the REO and short sale business. I had no clue in 2005 and 6 that we would even be selling REOs. And it's hard, like we talked about before, you work 3 times as hard for half the money, but it paid the bills. And because I had a reserve, I was able to withstand, and I didn't lose my, God forbid, my house, my personal house, like a lot of real estate agents did. But cash is king, because if the market does dip and you've been putting into those reserves, and what was a $300,000 house now you can buy for $200,000. God, I wish I had more reserves. I can't tell you the short sales I did, or the short sales I saw that, a place selling for $200,000 that literally a few years later was selling for $500,000. And I did buy a few of those, but not as many as I wish I would have. But again, I could buy at least a few, but because I had some reserves and I had followed the plan I showed you before. I wish if I would have learned this 10 years earlier, believe me, I would have bought up a lot more of those half price homes. Well, if you stockpile cash, you can be prepared. The reason I like real estate, if the stock market drops, boom, it's gone. With real estate, people still need to live. They still need a place to live. And actually, when the real estate market drops, and sometimes people lose their home, the rentals become, a little bit more attractive as far as a return. But remember, as long as you have a positive cash flow, if you're renting a place out for $2,000 a month and the market tightens up and they're harder to rent, well, you can drop it to $1,500 a month because you have a positive cash flow and you've put enough money down. So you never have to be in a position to sell. And income and expenses. Talked about this in the beginning. Know your numbers. There is no major corporation out there that doesn't know exactly how much they spend and how much ROI, return on investment, that's getting you. Live off less. Have a business and a personal budget. That's the whole idea of, figuring out, like under the example I use, I'm making $10,000 because I know my expenses are $7,000. Now, if I make $30,000 one month, I have a couple large sales. If I just took that $30,000, I'm going to piss it away, on something. But if I basically still only take that 10, that extra 20 I'm putting towards reserves. And at the end of the year, that reserves is going to go to my bonus, which again, 10% of it I use for fun stuff, but the other 80% of it is to buy down my current investments and also to build up my investment fund. So live off less and have a business and personal plan. I will tell you, Dave Ramsey, who I love, if you read any of his books, says if you live like no one else, later you can live like no one else. My wife and myself have always lived below our means. And well, I can't say always. Early in my career, I didn't. The last 20 years, we've lived below our means. And we always loved this because we always said, geez, we live like no one else. We're here in a condo when we could afford a 6,000 square foot home. So later you can live like no one else. Save more. It all comes with living off less. Save more. Get a line of credit. When the market is, good and the economy is good, it's not that hard to get a line of credit. I'll tell you, when the market tightens up, do you know what happened when the real estate market dropped? They froze all the lines of credits, not all of them, but most banks across the board, the lines of credits that were tied into your house. You have to be disciplined. But at the same point, they froze them all because home prices were dropping. Even personally secured business lines of credits, they froze when the market went down. Pay off small debt first. This is, what I love with Dave Ramsey is he talks about it. Now you might have a $20,000, you might have two credit cards. So one's a $20,000 and one's $2,000. And the $20,000 is costing you 14% interest, and the 2000's costing you 10% interest. He still says you pay off the 2000, pay off your lower debt first. And then it just gives you the feeling as you pay off the debt, and then take that money you were paying towards there and then pay it to the longer debt. So pay off the small debt first and just keep it rolling. You see progress, because the problem is if you have that $20,000 debt and you're just paying off this one over here and you still have this one here, you won't feel really a sense that you're getting anything done. So just pay them off, and then what I said in the investment payoff rollover, this is what I talked about earlier, is when you pay off, if you have 3 rentals and you owe money on all 3 of them, take the one that basically you owe the least of, put those reserves, if you follow this plan, put those reserves you got, remember 40% of your bonuses, you're putting towards that. Once you pay that one off, whatever you were making in payments in that one, you now are making double payments on the one with the next smallest loan amount. And then once you pay that off, you're basically putting all 3 of the payments towards that one where you owe the most. And before you know it, boom, 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 you will have everything paid off. And I'll tell you, there's no better feeling in the world to have things paid off. When I paid off my first investment property, I felt like, okay, you know what? If the world goes down the tubes, I have a place I can live that's paid off. There's no better feeling in the world. Now, a lot of this, going through this, one of the things that we're going to talk about next week is going back and doing a review. This is a good time to revisit your goals, to do this plan. And if you sit there and go, okay, what do I want to own? What do I want to do? And then revisit. And we're going to do that, actually next week we'll talk about it. Dave Ramsey, budgeting means spending every dollar on paper on purpose before the month begins. Remember what our motto is during the morning routine? Finish the day on paper before you even start it. Finish your day on paper before you even start it. Well, every dollar you spend, you're spending it on purpose, and you know exactly what you're spending it on. That's really